that he was not suggesting when he used the word disgrace in the interviews that he had in fact been intending to use the word disgracia, or at least use a word which carried with it connotations of misfortune, tragedy, or bad luck, rather than the connotations of abuse or insult. He actually explained he had intended to use the English word disgrace. He had complete knowledge of the English word disgrace, and that any suggestion to the contrary,
so you're saying
in the letter, was a result of miscommunication between him and Arsenal, who prepared the letter. So actually,
and maybe there lies the problem, no? Miscommunication,
not a problem. The whole thing is just, this whole disgracia thing is irrelevant. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the fact that the independent panel looked at his words and thought that he didn't stray over the line, the threshold, to be abusive. So you've got to do with what language it is. It's got to do with the fact.
Well, they do refer to the language, don't they? They do refer to the language.
They don't refer to that word.
Disgracia word is used in the argument.
It's used by the club, and basically all they've done in the report is explain that actually that wasn't part of their thinking. What was part of their thinking was the issue that he hadn't intentionally had a go at one individual person. So do you think he is right to be able to say and go as far as he did?
Look, I just feel that it would be lovely if you could just draw a line under all this. You know, so my
argument. Do you think he's right that he's allowed to talk like that?
Well, I think that what he's tried to do, he has obviously spent considerable time behind the scenes working with VAR, working with Manchester to try to improve. And so they've looked at that. They've looked at that good character. They did try to argue, didn't they, as a role model, and it resonates quite well that maybe he should be charged because this is such a huge figure within the game.
Yeah.
And then they decide, well, actually, it doesn't really matter, does it? You know, is he guilty or not? Forget the size of the character and the personality and how much he transcends around the world. So I think they've fallen on the right side. I think I can see disgrace means something different in Spanish. And I understand that argument. I know that you're trying to pick a hole now through that and try to create...
no, I'm just saying that's irrelevant.
You're trying to say that Arsenal actually said one thing and Arteta is saying the other. But nonetheless, let's hope we can just get on with the football now. Hopefully VAR improes. Hopefully
you might want to move on from football, but what we need to address is whether or not this is okay to do.
I think it's borderline. I think it's absolutely borderline when you're using those types of words. But I do understand that with the translation and what it might mean, a different connotation, a different language, I understand that.
He was het up. One of the reasons he was het up because Joe Willock, apparently former Arsenal player, who was part of the build-up for the goal, turned around and told players as they were walking off the pitch, yeah, it was out of play. So he had heightened emotion.
He thinks it was out of play.
Yeah.
We probably don't really know whether it was out of play.
But he was the closest to it, wasn't he?
He was, but he might be wrong.
He might be.
He might be wrong.
That's
I don't know if it helps. I don't know if it helps. It maybe helped his argument on the day. We don't know, do we, if he actually said that.
But one of the key things here going forward is whether or not you accept that it's okay for a manager to come out and criticise a process like VAR in the aftermath of the game. Now, my view from what it's worth is I think it's absolutely fine for someone to come out and criticise the processes behind a system like VAR, for example, bearing in mind the number of problems that we've had with it, as long as they're not personal or insulting or damaging the reputation of the referee. Open communication is really, really important. Talking about it, highlighting the issues, actually sharpens the focus of everything, doesn't it?
Well, of course it does. I mean, we're now talking about the protocol now that happens in the VAR room. So the language, you know, how we restrict what we say, who speaks and when, clear communication. All of these things are about to change. All of it because of what we've been subjected to so far. Yeah. I felt that you know, watching that game, and it looks, doesn't it, to the eye as if the ball's out of play. But to not have the technology is really it's scary, really. And I just feel now next year this technology, I'm told now there's going to be these sensors in the ball. You know, it's incredible what the technology that's going to arrive. And then a lot of these issues, they won't completely go away, but a lot of them will go away.
Yeah, they'll get better and better at it over time. What I will say is I spent my Monday afternoon this week actually going through with match officials some decisions, and there's no doubt they're doing their best to try and sort of improve on the way they communicate and educate themselves. One of the issues, I think, is that when you're in a stadium, when you're watching, there's no clear communication from the referee to the wider general public. And I think until that changes, we're always going to have this moment of conjecture. For example, I did a game last night in the Europa League where Rennes were disallowed a goal in the 111th minute of stoppage time. the information that was given by the broadcasters to the broadcasters from the VAR room last night was that they were checking the build-up to the goal for a potential offside. The replays were ongoing. When we come back to the replay, they put a caption up. This is the UEFA. Put a caption up saying that the goal was disallowed for offside. It wasn't disallowed for offside. We didn't see the full replay till afterwards. By that time, they put on the screens in the stadium that the goal was disallowed for offside. So I'm looking at the commentator data feed. I'm looking at TV screens around the office. Everything says offside. Everyone watches Going Mad doesn't understand why it's been offside because I couldn't see any offside, and that's why I said I just couldn't see any offside. It was the correct call in the end because there was a double touch by a free kick taker, a freak incident. But instead of communicating,
you're not saying you missed that, Sam, are you?
No, I'm saying that they did
they replay it? Did you see it more than once?
No.
Oh, okay, then I can understand. If you saw it more than once, then you probably should have
No,
seen.
we didn't have that facility, sadly. However, what we could have had, what we had at the Women's World Cup, is a referee that comes out and says, "This is the decision. This is why I've given it." Instead, we don't have any communication from the referees.
So you can't convey that then to your listener, to your viewer.
And also, what about the people in the stadium?
Well, they're the worst ones. I think that's totally disrespectful. You go to a ground and you're ringing home to find out what on earth's going on.
Yeah.
So we should be broadcasting. The next set of referees that come along surely will have the skill set to be able to communicate decisions in the way they do with rugby. So we can just involve everybody, and then we can then understand more. It's easier for us to understand, isn't it, when we can hear their workings out. At the moment, we're sort of in a locked room. Someone's thrown the key away, and we have to wait. By the way, it took 4 or 5 minutes to get these 3 decisions in the Newcastle game that Arteta's talking about. Again, that was far too long.
Well, at least he's not going to be banned or fined, so he is going to be able to continue. And slowly but surely, we do make another step in the right direction, working out laws and VAR, etc., etc. Still a lot to come on.